All right, sports fans, how's everybody out there doing? William Martin coming at you one more time here on YouTube with another edition of the 300 Pounds of Sports Knowledge Podcast. Well, folks, we're right in the middle of the play in tournament in the NBA. We've seen a couple of teams advance to the NBA playoffs. And of course, there are two more slots available that will be filled tomorrow night. The postseason's here. And the bottom line is, in the NBA, that when the playoffs roll around, the intensity, the competition, they all increase to another level because at the end of the day, it's simply win or go home. So, you got the first round of the Eastern Conference playoffs, and this is what I'm going to focus on tonight. I'll be talking about the Western Conference playoffs tomorrow as the NBA playoffs are set to begin officially this Saturday afternoon. Now, I'm going to start off with the number 6 seed in the East, the Indiana Pacers clashing with the 3 seed in the Milwaukee Bucks. And you got two teams right here that are going into the postseason with different outlooks. I mean, the Bucks right now are simply a mess. They haven't been right, in my opinion, since they fired Adrian Griffin. They have not been right under Doc Rivers. The defensive, end of the floor for the Bucks has not gotten any better, and of course now the Giannis injury. So I want to see how this team is going to respond. We know about the big trade in the offseason last year for Milwaukee to acquire guard Damian Lillard from the Portland Trailblazers. And of course, this was supposed to be his time and Giannis's time, but right now it looks like it's going to be Dame time going forward, at least for round number one, as Milwaukee looks to advance. Veteran presence on this team with a lot of championship experience, and I'm talking about the likes of Chris Middleton, Bobby Portis, and Brooke Lopez. They are all going to have to step up with the absence of Giannis. You got a veteran guard like Pat Bev. What is he going to bring to the table right now for Milwaukee in this series? This is a very intriguing matchup for the Bucks because you look at Indiana Pacers point guard Tyrese Halliburton. This guy is one of the best point guards in the NBA going right now. Tremendous facilitator, knows how to get the guys around him involved. The Pacers can still score with anybody, with the likes of Pascal Siakam and Miles Turner. And don't forget about the likes of Obi Toppin and TJ McConnell coming off of that Pacers bench for head coach Rick Carlisle. This is going to be very interesting here. Rick Carlisle going up against Doc Rivers. Of course, these two veteran head coaches have seen the wars in the postseason for numerous years with different teams. They've gone at it before in the postseason on many occasions. Okay, so this is just another chapter in that. You have two of the worst defensive teams in the NBA going at it. So points are not going to be at a premium in this series. The Milwaukee Bucks, they have problems on the perimeter. And I think what Indiana is going to need to do in this series, they're going to have to speed Milwaukee up and they're going to have to exploit the size disadvantage that they have. And I'm talking about Indiana and use that in their favor. But when it's all said and done, I'm going to take the 6 seed to advance in this one. I'm going to take the Pacers to get to the second round rather, in 6 games. Now, a series that I think is flying under the radar in this first round for both conferences. You got the 4-5 matchup in the East. You got the Cleveland Cavaliers going at it with the Orlando Magic. And for Cleveland, they've just been inching a little bit better and getting a little bit better each year. A couple of years ago, we saw the Cavs get to the play-in tournament, but they couldn't get out of there. Last year, we saw the Cavs get to the playoffs. They were eliminated in the first round in 5 games by the New York Knicks. And now let's see what we're going to get from the Cavs this time around. Of course, Donovan Mitchell, he's dealing with the injuries. How healthy is he going to be? That is a big time factor there. The same thing with Karis LeVert. How healthy is he going to be as one of those role players for Cleveland? A lot of talent there. You got a rim protector with the likes of Jared Allen. He's going to be important in this series. Don't forget about Evan Mobley and Max Strus as well. But then for this young Orlando team, This team has had a good year, and a lot of people really aren't talking about it. This is the Magic's best season since 2011. Okay, things have come together very quickly for this young team. Paolo Banchero, this is his first trip to the playoffs, and he's one of those guys. This is the postseason stage. This is what you live for. How is he going to look here for Orlando? You got Franz Wagner, you got Cole Anthony, Jalen Suggs, a very young and game team for Orlando. And I'll tell you like this: you got two young coaches in Jamal Mosley and JB Bickerstaff going at it, looking to get that first postseason series victory. I think this is going to be a very intriguing series going back and forth. Um, Again, it's one of those to me, I don't think a lot of people are talking about it heading into the playoffs, but I think once the first round is over, a lot of people are going to sit back and say, hey, Cleveland and Orlando probably had one of the best series in round number one. I think it's a toss up. I think it goes the distance, but I'm going to give the slight edge due to the playoff experience and the playmaking ability of Donovan Mitchell. Because of that, I'm going to give Cleveland the edge to get past Orlando in 7 games. Now, the 2-7 matchup, you've got the New York Knicks getting it on with the Philadelphia 76ers. And all I could say is buckle up for a tussle in round number one. Now, of course, coming into this season, the 76ers were expected to be one of the top teams in the East. But of course, the big time injury to Joel Embiid, their MVP, the reigning MVP, really set the Sixers back. They dipped all the way down into the play-in tournament, but then we saw Mr. Embiid return just prior to the end of the regular season, and this Sixers team has gotten it going. I know that they didn't play well in their play-in victory last night over the Miami Heat. But playing well and losing and playing well and winning are two different things. They didn't play well, but they still found a way to win that game, and that's all that matters this time of the year. It's survive and advance. Now, on the flip side for the Knicks, if you are the Knicks, you are flying high right now. Your best season, a regular season, in about 10 years. You finished second in the East. There's a buzz around this team in New York City. There's a buzz around this team at Madison Square Garden as people have really, once again, gravitated to the Knicks. And I'll tell you like this: the folks in New York City, when the Knicks are doing good, it's a little bit different than some of the other sports teams there. And right now, that fan base, they're just itching for something. So, of course, as Jalen Brunson goes, so do the fortunes of the New York Knicks. I think this could be a potential time where they do miss Julius Randle in this series, but you still have the playmaking ability of Jalen Brunson at the point guard position. The Villanova Knicks, because it's not just about Jalen Brunson, it's about also Dante DiVincenzo and Josh Hart. What are they going to bring to the table? OG Ananobi, of course, he has been tremendous for the Knicks since he was picked up from the Toronto Raptors midseason. And then Isaiah Hartenstein and Mitchell Robinson. These two bigs are going to be important because they are going to be tasked with the job of trying to slow down Joel Embiid. You're gonna have to make the big fella work, and I think that's something defensively that the Knicks are going to try to do. They know that Embiid is just coming back from that knee injury, and they're going to go out there and they're going to try to work him. They're going to try to stretch him. They're going to try to test him and see how fluid that he is going to be. But I'll tell you like this: the matchup between Embiid and the Knicks bigs, I think it comes down to how the refs call this series. Is Embiid going to get those star calls, or are the refs simply going to go out there and let these guys play? Because Embiid, even though he's a big fella, he does flop at times, and it's going to be interesting to see how the refs call this series. But nonetheless, in the absence of Embiid, we saw the emergence of Tyrese Maxey, and I think this kid has star potential written all over him. You've also got the likes of Tobias Harris. Bringing in the veteran point guard Kyle Lowry was huge for the 76ers. Buddy Hield, okay, he's one of those guys. He can get into a rhythm and get going from deep out there. That's going to be important. And then Kelly Oubre. But you look at the Knicks play D. And Philly is going to have to play D in this series as well. I think that the folks in Madison Square Garden, they're going to be up for this. They're going to try to do everything possible to get their Knick team to round number two. This is going to be easier said than done for the New York Knicks. I think this was a very difficult draw, in my opinion, for the Knicks. I know that there are some people out there that are saying, well, the Knicks are the two seed. They beat Philly three times during the regular season, and they're going to go out there and win. I am not in that category. It's for me, I just don't think the Knicks can stop Joel Embiid enough. I think the likes of Tyrese Maxey and others are going to step up. And I think defensively, okay, the Sixers are going to do just enough to have to make Jalen Brunson work more than he might want to get everybody else involved. And when it's all said and done, the Sixers, I think they're starting to play like they should have played throughout the regular season. And because of that, I'm going to take Philly to advance to the second round over the Knicks in 6 games. And finally, a first round series that officially has not been determined as far as who the participants are going to be. We know that the Boston Celtics finished with the best record in the East. We know that the Boston Celtics have the best record in the NBA overall as they went 64-18 during the regular season. We're still waiting to see whether the Celtics are going to face the Miami Heat or they're going to face the Chicago Bulls. But nonetheless, Boston, I think, dodges a bullet here because whoever they face, they're not fully healthy. If we're talking about the Bulls, of course, Zach Levine is done for the season. And now, if we're talking about the Heat for that series, Boston more than likely will not have to see Jimmy Butler or possibly Terry Rozier as well. And then, of course, we saw what happened last year in the Eastern Conference Finals where the Celtics met the Heat. And that series started with, Jimmy Butler being playoff Jimmy Butler. And of course, we've seen the Heat win games in the postseason without Jimmy Butler. But you cannot keep going to the well, especially against a deep and better Boston Celtics team this time around than last year. For the Chicago Bulls, we saw Kobe White play out of this world last night to help them get past the Atlanta Hawks. And I think for them to try to pull off the upset if they face the Celtics, you know, it's got to be more than just DeMar DeRozan. Guys like Vujacic and Kobe White and others have to step up. But you look at the Celtics team, so deep, so talented. A lot of people are picking them to come out of the East, and I get it. But the depth this year, you already have Tatum. You already have Jalen Brown. Bringing in Porzingis, but bringing in Drew Holiday was so big because he gives them that floor general, and I think that is going to be the difference. I think regardless of who the Heat face, pardon me, who the Celtics face in round number one, they advance to round number two in 5 games. So when it's all said and done, I'm going with Boston, Philadelphia, Indiana, and Cleveland to advance to the Eastern Conference semis in this postseason. So, folks, that is going to wrap it up. And as always, I want to take this time out to thank all of you for tuning into the 300 Pounds of Sports Knowledge podcast here on YouTube. I want to take this time out to thank all of you fine folks out there for tuning in. And if you have not already, please feel free to subscribe to this channel. Now, if you're on the X, formerly known as Twitter, please feel free to follow me at 300 Pounds of Sports. And like I always say, if you follow me, it will be my pleasure to follow you right back. There's also the sports discussion group on Facebook at the Sports Depot 365. Now you can check it out. Drop a line and be a part of one of the better sports debating sites going on social media. So once again, fine folks, my name is William Martin, and I am signing off. And I'm saying take care and have yourselves a wonderful day.